Joining me is my regular Tuesday commentator, Nationals MP, Matt Canavan, the former Resources Minister, and a very good one too. Matt Canavan, great to see you again. You and the rest of the opposition sat with Labor in the Senate today to censor Hanson, throw her out for a week. Why?
That's not true. No, that's not true, Andrew. Not true at all. We voted not to censor Pauline.
You were sitting with Labor. You were sitting on the Labor side.
No. That's not. Hang on. Well, Andrew, there's a lot of crap being said about the Senate right now, including yourself. So let's get the record straight. We did not vote to censure Pauline Hanson. We voted to remove that from the motion. The motion to put her out for 7 days, we were going to vote against. We voted against on the voices. Pauline Hanson cancelled that division. She cancelled that division. So if you want to say, I voted for a 7-day suspension, so did her own senators. They didn't vote against it either because she got up and cancelled a division. Now, in terms of how this all started, yes, one senator denied Pauline leave. Hang on, hear me out. You just said a whole lot about me, Andrew. I
just want to first that point. First that point. I saw footage of you sitting with Labor at the point where she said, cancel the censor motion. I've had it, and then there was no vote actually.
Well, Andrew, very clear. When she got up, we hadn't divided yet, Andrew. And when she got up to do that, I was on our side, ready to vote no, and she got up and cancelled it. It was still the clock was still ticking, so we weren't voting on it, Andrew. And I just want to make it very clear. You've said a lot about me, right? So let me have a right of reply. Pauline Hanson was denied the leave to introduce her burqa bill by one senator, which you can do on a formal motion. She has other ways she could have introduced her bill that wouldn't have allowed it and avoided that outcome. She chose not to use those avenues, right? She chose not to use them because clearly she wanted to create this stunt and this controversy, not to get change, not to actually do anything real, just to create outrage. And this is the problem, Andrew. She did this 8 years ago. Has it changed anything? Has actually anything gotten better in this country by Pauline acting like this? No. I am in politics. I'm down here spending time away from my family to get real things done, not to create outrage and headlines. And you've got to use the media and you've got to try and get your message out from time to time. But ultimately, you have to build a case for change. You have to build a team that's going to get enough numbers in the House of Representatives and the Senate to actually affect change. Now, I've done that, I believe, as Minister for Resources, as helping to win elections, as helping to keep out Bill Shorten from being Prime Minister. But I'm not in this business to create stunts. And as I said, Pauline had their opportunity. She could have moved this bill in the Senate, but she decided not to instead create a 2-day distraction, which, may I add, is distracting attention from the government's failing net zero agenda. We have been putting them on the ropes in question time, but instead of you covering that, you're covering about what some senator wore into the Senate yesterday.
Steady on, you haven't heard the rest of the show yet, and I did cover that very extensively last night, as you may well know. Now, I can do actually more than one thing at a time. You today called One Nation a circus, and you said that Barnaby Joyce, your former boss and friend, was just in it for himself by joining them. It was all about Barnaby, you said. You've never been so harsh about him. Why now?
Well, he's contributing to this. I mean, this ridiculous dinner last night, it's all such a saga. And as I say, I think people are sick of it. We're down. We should be here. We should be here this week holding the government to account on net zero and the fact that it can't control our energy prices. A few months ago, 6 months ago, Barnaby didn't want to split the coalition up because he thought the best way was to stay in coalition with the Liberal Party, to try and affect change through that. I had a different view. I thought we should have gone our way at that point and affected change that way. But he called for that. He said he was successful. So he stayed in coalition. Now, he played his role. He did a great job with the repeal net zero bill. But we've done that and we've got to this point where after myself and many other people in the LNP fighting for this, we've got a situation where now 70 members of Parliament, the House of Reps and the Liberal and the Senate from the Liberal and National parties are against net zero. We got that outcome. Pauline, after 4 years of fighting, has got 4 senators against net zero. And I really believe it would have been better for Barnaby to be in part of that team that is winning on the scoreboard, has a chance of getting this done. But instead he's going around having dinner with Pauline and creating an absolute distraction to help the government. So that's why I've made those comments today.
But when you posted on X that you weren't happy with Pauline Hanson, You can't have missed, like I said, the fact that there were pages of comments, including by people who admire you, like you, follow you, that Hanson, they backed her. So does that suggest to you that Hanson's stunt, as you called it, as I've called it, will actually work?
Well, did it work 8 years ago? I mean, this is a recycle stunt, Andrew. She did this exact same thing.
Depends what you mean
8 years ago.
Depends exactly what you think her objective is.
Has it delivered? Has it helped? Has it helped lower migration in this country? Has she banned the burqa? No, she hasn't. What has she achieved from it? So I don't think it'll work. And look, in case you or others don't know, I'm not doing this to win a popularity contest online. I do what I do and I fight for it. I'm pretty forceful sometimes. I have been tonight, but I do it because I think it's the right thing for our country. And I think the right thing for our country is not to debase our parliament like this, is to treat it as a sacred place. And so I don't like how this cheapens our politics. I don't believe we should ridicule people by taking what they dress with and putting it on yourself as some kind of dress-up play to make a political point. I do think that's disrespectful to Muslim Australians. It's ridiculing people, and I don't like that type of politics. I think we should have a serious debate about integration, about assimilation, and in that chamber, in the Senate chamber, just around the corner from where I am for you today, there's a role for deliberative and considered contributions about that issue. Unfortunately, this week, Pauline and One Nation have not contributed in that fashion.
Now, I want to turn to a topic that you suggested that I would not turn to, but I will. Opposition leader Susan Lee. I reckon she's found confidence in the last couple of weeks, and also a target, Climate Change and Energy Minister Chris Bowen, who's just been appointed the United Nations President of Climate Negotiations, skipped Parliament yesterday. Here is Susan Lee giving him the big welcome.
Welcome back to Australia. The Coalition thanks the full-time President of COP31 negotiations for taking the time today to make himself available and accountable to the Australian Parliament in his capacity as part-time Energy Minister. How many days of Parliament will the part-time Minister miss in 2026? And what will be the cost to Australian taxpayers of the Minister's full-time presidential duties?
When you are a patriotic party of government, you celebrate national successes whether you are in opposition or in government.
Now, Matt Canavan, Chris Bowen never got around to answering the actual question then, or when it was asked later again. How much will this cost Australia? How many days will he spend away from Parliament on this other United Nations business? But just on that point, he says it's good for Australia and patriots should support it. Are you a patriot? Do you support Chris Bowen? Can he do both jobs and not have one suffer?
Well, look, I agree with you, Andrew. I think Susan Lee's looked excellent these first couple of days of Parliament because we've got something to fight for now. We've made this decision to oppose net zero. As I say, we've now got as many parliamentarians against this as we ever have, and so it gives us a fighting chance. And the government here has no answers on why the so-called cheapest form of power that they call renewable energy is not delivering cheap power prices for Australians. And they are instead focused now on getting global acclaim across the world for their green credentials rather than focusing on the Australian people. We have now, the decision we've made as the LNP to oppose net zero is a clear decision to say we should run our energy system for the benefit of Australians. We should run our energy system to deliver the lowest possible prices for Australians. Instead, this government is clearly with the ascension of St Chris to this role, clearly decided that we should run our energy system in this country to win acclaim from the United Nations overseas. I don't think the Australian people will agree with that. We've now got a clear dividing line in Australian politics. It's a clear battle line. And as long as we keep fighting forcefully for this, I think we've got a chance of winning the next election. It'll be tough. We're running at base camp now. We've got to get up to Mount Everest, but we've got a fighting chance because we've got our fight back.
I don't want to end this interview in the same angry note as it started, but I ask you to respect Chris Bowen. It's not Saint Chris, it's President Chris. I hope you've got that through. The United Nations.
I'll try that next time, Andrew. We're still mates, mate.
Please do.
We'll have to bring the whiskey back. I'll have one of those with you next time.
Mate, you're always welcome. You know that. I don't take any of it personally. And I've long said I admire you and I want you back on the front bench. Thank you so much for your time, Matt Canavan.